Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another video. What I thought I'd do this week is to do another book review of a book that I've just recently completed, and it is this book, Why Can't We All Get Along? Shout Less, Listen More, and it is by radio broadcaster Iain. You might have heard of that name because I've mentioned it before on my channel. I listened to the For the Many podcast that he does with former Home Secretary Jackie Smith. Really good and fun podcast, giving political commentary, but also some banter along the way. And yeah, he's recently released a book, which I got, and even I managed to get a signed copy of the book as well, as you might be able to see there, which was quite nice. I'll be definitely keeping this book. It's a really interesting book and a very insightful book. I'll just read you what it says on the back, on the blurb. Brexit, Trump, social media, fake news. Our political climate is more fraught than ever. But when opposites collide, there's still room for unity. Here's how we can all just get along. And what this book looks at is current public discourse and why, to some extent, we've become complicit in allowing a discourse of intolerance and disrespect. We can think of Twitter, for example, where we might put something on Twitter and then we get lots of comments that are very negative, that don't have any nuance to them, that see things black and white. And what this book kind of touches upon is why we have lost that nuance to some extent, why we have this sense of tribalism and division, that you have to have this view or you have to have that view, you have to be a Leaver or you have to be a Remainer, you have to support this or you have to support that. If you disagree with someone, then everyone's going to hound upon you because you have said something different to what other people are saying. And so this book explores it. It looks at different parts of society, about the role of the media, about politics, but also different issues like the NHS and sexuality, for example. And it's a really good book by him. It's a very easy read, and it's not intellectual, it's not there to hit you off the head or anything like that. It's just a good discussion about some of these issues that are also informed by his own experiences. It's kind of semi-autobiographical in the sense that he talks about his own experiences as a radio broadcaster, talks about his early life, talks about different parts of his life, some things that he has talked about before, some things he hasn't talked about that are new in this book. And it's just a really interesting read. He uses that experience, he uses those experiences to inform his discussion in this book. And like I said, it does look at current political discourse, and it gives you a lot to think about. We can recall, or you might be able to recall, when Gina Miller brought her first case to the Supreme Court regarding the triggering of Article 50. And it was going through the courts. And when it was in the High Court, which is the first court that heard it, you might recall that there were lots of newspapers referring to the judges in those cases as enemies of the people. And this was an example of that discourse, which did get worse as the Brexit process got on. And I can't say what the main reason was or was not. This is just from my perspective. But it seems that we lost the nuance, that if you were a Remainer, you were branded a particular way. If you were a Leaver, you were branded a particular way. And we kind of use these labels to identify people, but also in a way as to hit them over the head or to be critical against them. And that was just an example of it with the judges, but also with MPs. If an MP rebelled against the government, they were regarded as mutineers and betraying the country. And that kind of language really made public discourse very negative and made it more difficult to have those discussions. We can disagree. There is nothing wrong with that. We can want to have a second referendum, or we may want to have Scottish independence. But we need to have that discussion. There's a difference between discussion and just shouting at each other and not wanting to hear other people's views. We can not like a particular television show, but we don't then go onto YouTube or Facebook or Twitter and say, if you watch that, you are not a true X fan or whatever it might be, or you're giving in to the culture or whatever it might be. We can have that discussion. We can disagree, but we should be able to discuss it in an amicable and in a positive and in a constructive way, as opposed to shouting at each other or sending something very nasty or very negative on Twitter, for example. And this book does look at that. It's not there to claim that it's got all the answers or anything like that, but just suggesting ways, Iain suggests ways that we can improve our discourse, by the way we interact with each other, by the way we think about things, by the way we approach things. And even at the epilogue at the end, he gives some suggestions. So I'll just read a couple of them, for example. So he says there, self-analyze the way you react to people who disagree with you and work out how you can argue better, more politely, and more effectively. Treat others how you wish to be treated yourself. Be more forgiving for people's failures and feelings. And that's just some examples in there. He talks about how media can improve and how politicians can improve. And it's definitely a really good book. I don't want to give Ozzy anything away because it'd be better for you to read it yourself and look at it yourself. You might disagree with parts of it, and that's perfectly legitimate. But like I said, there's a difference between disagreeing and explain why you disagree than just going onto Twitter and saying, Iain Dale is a terrible person, we should all ignore him, we should all hate him, or anything like that. So it's a really good book. I would definitely recommend it. I will put a link in the description for you to, buy it if you wish. That's up to you, whether it be an ebook or whether you want a physical copy, as I always like to have. But yeah, just thought I'd do a quick book review on this really good book. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to do the usual things like follow me on Facebook and Instagram, liking the video. You can also subscribe to the channel. Why haven't you already? By clicking the bottom right hand corner, but hit that notification bell as well so that you can keep up to date with any new content. Comment if you've got any questions or anything you want to discuss or any new videos. I'm looking for some new ideas, so put them in the comment section below. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in the next one.